All right, welcome back to Jordan with Coffee. My name is Jordan, and here's my cup of coffee. I'm gonna drink that right now. Oh, it's still hot. I just put it down. Right. Oh, I forgot about that. Anyway, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 2, and this is the very first. Not the very first. This is the first recording that I'm doing after posting the first episode. So, if you did listen to that, I really appreciate that a lot. It was a lot of nerve to just upload that audio and just let people listen to it or not listen to it. If you didn't, no worries. Consider doing it, maybe. I don't know. And again, thank you if you did. Whether you listened to it all the way through, you listened to it for 5 minutes, you just press play, listen to it for a second, and then press pause, so that way my play count goes up. Regardless, thank you so much if you supported me in any way. As of right now, I have, let me check, 32 plays on that episode, and that's 31 more plays than I thought I would have, to be honest, because I was going to listen to it definitely, but didn't know anyone else was going to. But I actually got some comments and messages from friends saying hey, good podcast, or I'm really excited to hear you talk because I listen to podcasts, and some of them were like, oh my god, you're so awkward, it's funny, which wasn't the idea I was going for, but I'll take it. Something I want to address before I start talking about what I actually want to talk about is so that 10-second intro that I did or I made for the podcast. Some of my friends they didn't know what it was, and that's probably my fault, because the idea probably got lost in translation, because the idea that I wanted, I obviously know what I wanted, so when I made it, it's oh yeah, that's obviously that. So let me explain. The idea for that little 10 seconds of sound was to give off the visual that I'm making the cup of coffee that I'm drinking right now, right before the podcast. And you add very moody lo-fi music and then crowd noise. That way it seems like you're in a coffee shop. That was the idea I had. And a lot of my friends are the first 10 seconds, it just sounds like metal objects banging. And I'm like, no way, it's that. And then I listen to it back, and I listen to it with fresher ears. And I guess if you don't know what I was going for, then yeah, it's gonna sound weird. So if you were confused about that, I'm sorry, it was lost in translation. I meant for it to be, a very coffee-esque sound. But yeah, that was the idea. Obviously I need to work on that, but up until I make another one, and I don't know when I will, because I need to figure out what sounds I need and what to do. It's gonna stay like that. So I guess once I upload this episode, then you all know what it is. So hopefully no one gets confused, and hopefully I'm hoping that if people didn't listen to the first episode, that's fine. I hope when people start listening to this, they listen to this episode, so that way they get that explanation of the intro. So that way, every episode I record and upload from here on out, people don't ask that question, because it's going to make me feel bad about the confusion that people were going through. So that was that. It was, again, bad execution on my part. I will fix that once I think of something better. So what's there to talk about? Usually with podcasts like this, where there's no theme, there's no shtick. It's just me talking. Usually with podcasts like this that I've heard of, they just talk about what they've done since the last podcast. I'll be honest, I've mostly worked since I recorded the last podcast. I've only worked and haven't really done much. I've done a couple of things, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I guess, like, in order for me to make this podcast interesting, I should probably do stuff, like, somewhat interesting in between each recording. But, like, truth be told, like, the summertime is the most boring time for me. And it has been since I graduated high school. Because, I'll be honest, like, most of my friends I made at college. My closest friends I made at school. And, some of them live, 15 minutes away, so I hang out with them all the time. But then some of them live, an hour away, so I don't see them as much. And usually when I go see the friends that are closest, we just kind of just fuck around and chill and don't do anything. And that's not really interesting to talk about. And, my hometown friends, the friends I had in high school that I still talk to and, still, keep in touch with, we don't really do much either. We usually I gotta stop saying, we usually just go out to eat, grab a drink, and that's really it. We don't really do much because we're all just busy with work and we don't really want to spend that much money on things. And that's just totally relatable to anyone who just doesn't have that much money in their life. One thing I did do last week, I think it was the day after I recorded the first episode, was I reunited with some of my cousins. My cousin, he is in, what is he? Is he in the Navy? He's either in the Navy or the Air Force, and I'm sorry I get those confused all the time, because honestly, I don't bother with remembering the differences. I'm pretty sure he's in the Navy, and he was coming back for a couple days, and I haven't seen him in 4 years, and I just wanted to, catch up with him. So me, him, his cousins, and our cousin, he has his cousins, and we have a cousin who is connected with us. We met with all of them, and then we just kind of hung out. We went to the mall. It was a lot of fun. Caught up. We went to this great ramen place in Providence, because as you know, I'm near Providence, and it was a good time. And we caught up. It was fun. We also went bowling. The ramen place we went to was Ken's Ramen, and I really wish I knew this place before I knew it. So there's a meme around me with me and my friends. It's that I love Providence. And truthfully, yes, I do love Providence, Rhode Island. I was born there. I lived there for the first 10 years of my life. And whenever I go there, I just get really excited because I go visit my grandparents, both sets of grandparents. I just go there to hang out with friends. It's a good middle area from where all my friends live, so we all just meet up in Providence and just hang out. It's a special place in my heart. But there's a inside joke going around with all my friends where every time someone mentions Providence, they just look at me like, "Oh, Jordan, were you born there?" And I kind of just go along with it because it's funny. I do talk about Providence a lot, and whenever we're in Providence, I kind of inadvertently just tell people where to go. Oh, we should go here, we should go here, we should go here, and we just go there, and he'll just listen to me for some reason. And so that's the inside joke between me and my friends in Providence. But as much as I love Providence and as much as I talk about it, I don't know every cool place. And one of these places was Ken's Ramen. And my friend Eric, he mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, I've never been." And he looked at me, and he was like, "How do you love Providence so much, but you don't know this place?" And I just looked at him like, "Look, dude, it's a front. I don't know everything about Providence, but the places that I do know, like Baja's, Urban Outfitters, PV Donuts, any coffee shop, I'm your guy for that, except this one ramen place." And we decided to go there. It was me, Eric, and my friend James. We all decided to go there for one day because I was craving it. And honestly, you can only eat so much instant ramen, and you just crave real ramen. So we went here, and it's a very popular place because it's in Providence, and there's Brown, and there's Johnson and Wales, and there's there's a bunch of colleges and universities in downtown Providence. So obviously this is a great place for college students to eat. So we went there. It was a 20-minute wait, and like they only seat, I want to say they seat maybe 20 people, maybe between around 20 people, which isn't a lot of people, and there's always a wait. And so we waited, and we went in, and they give you this average sized bowl of ramen noodles, but they give you so much broth. And the bowl, for like the first bowl, it's like $12, like just for the soup and the noodles. To like add everything else, like chicken or like any protein and like eggs and vegetables, to add more, it's like an extra $1 or $2. So it does rack up. And you might be thinking like, this is really expensive. It is. But here's the kicker. It's like they give you so much broth that once you eat all your noodles, you essentially have enough broth for another bowl of noodles. So you can get just a refill of noodles for like an extra $2. And it seemed so cheap because it's $2. When really, in order to get that refill, you have to buy like $15 worth of ramen the first time around. So every time I've gone since, I think I've gone twice since I went the first time, I've always gotten a refill because it's just worth $2. Like, are you kidding me? And it's become something that I love in Providence more. And I love like so many things about Providence. Like I could talk about Providence for a whole podcast, but I'm not going to do that because there's so much other things that I want to talk about. But yeah, I reunited with my cousins. I think he's probably left by now, which is unfortunate. He'll be gone a couple months. He went back to South Korea, and yeah, gonna miss him. We are keeping in touch through Snapchat and like Messenger and everything, so that's good. And once he comes back, we're gonna probably catch up again, and it's gonna be great. I grew up with him. He's a year older than me, but like honestly, we're both fucking idiots. We act the same age. We act 12 all the time. So that's what I did last week. What else did I do? One second, I drink my coffee. Still hot, but not as hot as when I first sipped it at the beginning of the episode. I saw 8th grade. And 8th grade, for those of you who don't know, and you should know because everyone's talking about it, it seems like an independent movie. It's a movie that's kind of independent, directed by Bo Burnham. And Bo Burnham, if you don't know, and you should know, is one of the best comedians, musicians, entertainers, and just performers that this era has seen. He's great. He has like so many stand-up specials, like both on Comedy Central and Netflix. Just great entertainer, great comedian, and what I found out recently, great director, great writer. 8th grade is so uncomfortable. It's so cringy, and it's so awkward, and it's so beautiful at the same time. The movie is essentially just about someone like this 8th grade girl just going through the notions and motions of transferring from like 8th grade to freshman of high school, and just going through all the awkward phases of just making friends and just being yourself while also trying to put up a front just to have friends. And it's so good. It's so nice. And honestly, like whenever I gush about movies, I never say anything worthwhile. Like I always just say like, it's so good. You should watch it. It's amazing. Because it is. 8th grade is such a great movie. And it's such a good movie because it gives you the feelings that you had when you were in 8th grade. And it gives you the feelings that every 8th grader and middle schooler has. They're just awkward and just there, and they just don't know what to do, and they're just being told what to do. And it's so good because you just don't know at that point in your life like where you're going, and you don't know what to do, and you think like this is the best time in your life, but really you have so much more to live and like experience. And like 8th grade, even if it sucked, it's not the end of it. And if it's great, it's not the end of it. And it's just so good. I was just feeling every emotion. There were moments where I was just like cringing at how awkward it was and how I was just uncomfortable at like the certain scenes. And it was it was really well made, and Bo Burnham is a genius. It's such a good movie, and like I can't ever. I'm always gonna recommend it. It's that good, and if you actually, is that today? Is today the day? Today is the day. So today I'm recording this on August 8th. It's a Wednesday of 2018. And today is the day that actually there's a theater in every state that is doing a free screening of 8th grade. And the reason why is because Bo Burnham wants all 8th graders to see this movie. And the movie's rated R really only because of like language. And like, yeah, there's like a couple of uncomfortable scenes, sure. But aside from that, like I don't think it should be rated R, it should be PG-13 aside from like what I mentioned. But so obviously because it's rated R, 8th graders can't see it. Unless, actually, I don't know with rated R movies if you have to be... No, it is. No, kids can go see R-rated movies with a parent. Because I remember, sorry to get off track, but like this is kind of important. When I was like not the age to see R-rated movies by myself, my dad would take me to go see like any movie he wanted to see. Like he took me to see Alien vs. Predator, he took me to see King Kong, he took me to see like a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have seen when I was like that certain age. But I remember the movie that I went to see with him that I should definitely not have seen was Watchmen. And Watchmen is a rated R movie, and it came out in 2009, and I had just turned 12. And my dad took me to see Watchmen, which is rated R. And if you don't know Watchmen, it's just a comic book movie. But one of the main characters in the movie is just this like extraterrestrial being, and he just shows his dick the whole time. Not all the time, but most of the time, it just shows his dick, and it's like he's extraterrestrial and he's blue, so you just see a blue dick. And I saw this when I was 12. So unless the R-rated like movie rules have changed, like kids can go see this with an adult. And now it's today. There's a movie theater in every state that is showing one screening for free. So if honestly, I don't know when I'm going to upload this. I might be uploading this right after because I just want to do it. If you're listening to this, if you listen to this right as soon as I upload it, thank you. Why would you do that? But thank you. Go see 8th grade tonight. Go find out where it's showing for free in your state and go see it. It's a really good movie. It's a really good coming-of-age movie. And that's the thing. I have a love-hate relationship with coming-of-age movies. It's my favorite genre, but I never watch it. And here's why. I love coming-of-age movies because they're all so whimsical and they're so nice to just see and just like look and like, oh, like, you know, people like growing up. Like growing up is so hard. It's so hard to do, but you got to do it. And I think with coming of age movies, it kind of makes growing up like seem a lot easier if you just like let things happen and you do this and you do that. What was it? Moonrise Kingdom, Wes Anderson's movie. Great coming-of-age movie about just young love. Perks of Being a Wallflower. Great coming-of-age movie about just stressful situations and trauma and just like trying to fit in and trying to like make something out of yourself. 8th grade. Great coming-of-age movie about just growing up. Period. And I love that genre. But I hate that genre. I hate that genre, like, at my age right now, because with coming-of-age movies, I can't really relate to them because I've already come of age. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, I'm 21, and there's no coming-of-age movies for 21-year-olds, which sucks, because I feel like there's so much more that 21-year-olds can learn and that can be developed into a coming of age movie for a 21-year-old adult. And it makes me wish that I did life differently, but I shouldn't be thinking that. I should be thinking that I did life how I did life, and that's that. And I should just continue on and just take what I did and take what I learned and just use it for the future. But with coming of age movies, I just really wish I did things differently. Like, maybe I wish that I befriended seniors when I was a freshman in high school, like in Perks of Being a Wallflower. Maybe I wish I found young love when I was like 12 or 13, like in Moonrise Kingdom. Maybe I wish I was super awkward in 8th grade. I probably was super awkward, but I don't think I was as awkward in 8th grade as I was as the character in 8th grade. I don't know. But like, coming of age movies, they make me want to redo life. And you can't continue life thinking that you should have redone things. Yes, it's nice to think of that and like think of, oh, if I'd done this differently, things would be different. Yes, they would be. But also, this is the life you have, and you should just live it and just enjoy it. And that's about as philosophical and heartwarming and like moralistic than I'm ever going to get on this podcast. Probably not, because I always like thinking that. It's very, very sad. I always think that all the time, and it just makes me like really, really wish that I didn't think that. But yeah, 8th grade, see it. It's a good movie. Bo Burnham's great. I really don't know if Bo Burnham's going to continue doing stand-up now. Or like, not stand-up, but like doing his shows. Because he has this now. He has this to add to his resume. And he can just continue making movies. And obviously, I'm going to keep supporting him, no matter what he does. Because he's just a great artist. And I kind of wish he did like one more like last comedy show special. But also at the same time, I feel like maybe he shouldn't. After the success he has had with 8th grade. And like, he'll probably make great like movies. He'll probably make great movies in the future. But I'm a firm supporter of supporting artists in all of their endeavors, and no matter what they do. Actually, that's a great topic. The prime example I use with this like ideal and this like belief is Filthy Frank. Filthy Frank, you don't know, you should know. Actually, if you don't know, I don't blame you. He's not for everyone. He wasn't for everyone. They're YouTuber, very raunchy, very like anti-PC YouTuber. He's a character that would just offended everyone and was just very grotesque and very like not easy to watch. I guess that's how you should put it. He just did a lot of things that were just not for everyone, but I loved it because it was just like so off the wall and against the grain, and I loved it. And the guy behind him, George Miller, he recently, not recently, he like a year ago, he stopped making Filthy Frank. And I was bummed that he stopped making Filthy Frank because at the same time he stopped making Pink Guy, because Pink Guy was like a subplot, sub-character of Filthy Frank, and Pink Guy was like also his music endeavor. Because Pink Guy was also a music artist. He just sang like his music character, and he released like an album in like January 4th, 2017. I remember because that was the most important day of my life. And it was just like 30 tracks of just the weirdest shit, and it was the best shit. It was just songs about like just killing yourself, being depressed, and just not doing anything about it, about PETA, about like eating dogs, and it was the weirdest album, and it was a great album, and it was like on the Billboard charts, like it was in the top 100 when it debuted, which is absurd, and I think it was at the top of the iTunes charts, which is even more absurd. And it was so off the wall and was so unorthodox and so avant-garde, I guess you could say. That was very douchey of me to say. Um, that I loved it. And eventually he stopped making the comedy part. And then he recently signed on to 88 Rising. And honestly, you should know this because 88 Rising is like huge. 88 Rising is a label that has a lot of Asian artists, and one of them is George Miller. He goes by Joji. He's by Joji now. And right now he's doing music that he loves. And that's just great. It's great that he's just doing music that he loves. And I think he mentioned that he loved making like the meme music, but it just wasn't gonna last. And I'm really glad he's making like music that he likes making, that he enjoys making, because again, I'm gonna support him no matter what, because he's a great artist. And I think it's important for everyone to just support artists that you like no matter what they do. A lot of times whenever artists try to do a different endeavor, no one follows suit with them. I think there was like an example with like Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco fame. He went on Broadway, and there was like some issue of how Panic at the Disco fans were going to his Broadway shows, but also expecting him to like be the Panic at the Disco Brendan Urie and not the Brendan Urie on Broadway. And that's not something you should do. You should just support your artists and let them do whatever they want. And hey, if you don't like what they do, you don't have to like what they do, but support it or respect it. And just, let artists be artists, because honestly, you can only do the same thing for so long. And it's important to do things that interest you while at the same time interest others, interest your fan base. And you can't always do the same thing, because eventually you're going to get sick of it, and you're just going to get sick of being an artist. And that's just very important, to just always challenge yourself. I told myself I wasn't going to get like moralistic or like get all advicey, but here I am again. Yeah, just artists are artists. Let them be artists in all aspects. But yeah, that's really it. Aside from that, I haven't done much since recording the last episode. I've just worked, and that has been okay. It's been fun, but also at the same time very stressful. So I work in retail right now, and where I work in retail, I work at a PacSun. If you don't know, you should know, because I always mention it. I work at PacSun in a shopping center, and it's a very high volume shopping center. It's a lot of tourists go there whenever they're on vacation. So I get a lot of foreigners, and just like in addition to that, just people that live around here, they always go like every day, and it's absurd. Very high volume, and I typically work there I try to work there like every day. Usually I get scheduled like 3 days a week, but I always get called in, and I always just go in because I have nothing else to do, because I like working, but at the same time, I kind of forgot that overworking is a thing. Totally forgot about that. And I kind of realized a little too late into the summer that I have been overworking myself, because I would go in and just work anytime they would ask me. And I didn't really care. I was like, yeah, money, work, it's fine, easy. So I would go in and I'd just work, and I'd come home, and then I'd go to sleep, and then I would wake up. And if I had a shift, I'd go work. And if I didn't have a shift, I would just kind of sit there and just wait to get called in. And that's not a good thing to do, because you're overworking yourself. And I guess, like, overworking yourself, it's not the worst thing to do, but it's not a good thing to do, because you should leave time to yourself, and you should also just like leave time to not work and just do things you want to do aside from work, which I always want to do. Like, I like keeping busy is the thing, and it's good to keep busy, but it's also good to just give time to yourself, which I'm doing right now because I'm not working today, and I'm just recording this podcast. Actually, this is the second time I'm recording today because I tried recording this episode earlier, but the phone rang. I was coughing a lot, and it just sounded bad. Like I felt awkward just like coughing and just like, oh, sorry. And then I stopped it, and then I played it back, and I was just like, if I wasn't like enjoying listening to it, no one else would. So this is the second time I'm recording this, and fortunately, I like knew what I was talking about because I was talking about the same stuff I was talking about in the first recording. So it all kind of flows well, but now I'm starting to run out of things, and that's not good. So we're just gonna keep going. Back to work though. This is something I've always wanted to talk about, and I guess it's a good time to talk about now because I'm talking about work. So I work in retail, and I work essentially anytime. I'll take a day off or two. I'll take a couple days off if I'm like I have plans from like going camping or I'm like going on a trip or whatever. But more often than not, I'm working, and that includes holidays. And I don't get why every holiday warrants people to go shopping. Like, I can understand now when people are going like hardcore shopping because it's back to school time, like everyone needs new outfits. That's totally fine, I get it. But why is it when I was working 4th of July weekend or like week, people were coming to shop? Like, I don't get the belief or like the logic behind it's this certain holiday, I'm gonna go shopping. Like, I understand that a lot of stores, mine included, they were doing like 4th of July weekend sale or whatever. But why do they do that? Like, why can't they just leave the sale as it was before 4th of July and just not have big sales? I get that, like, it's weird because stores do that because a lot of customers come in during 4th of July weekend. And a lot of customers go for 4th of July weekend because there's sales. It's like a catch-22. It just circles back. And I feel like if stores stopped doing 4th of July sales, customers wouldn't go on certain holidays. Or like not a lot would go for like hardcore shopping. Like if there weren't any 4th of July sales, customers stopped going. And because customers stopped going, 4th of July sales would be obsolete. And like I totally get, Christmas sales, whatever, Black Friday sales, like back to school sales, like spring break sales. All those, fine. All those that like warrant new clothes. Like if you're going on vacation or like the season change, that's fine. But 4th of July, it's in the smack of summer. You don't need new bathing suits. You don't need new shirts. And for me, I'm the type of shopper that buys like a handful of things at like a time. I don't go hardcore outfit shopping like every couple months. Like whenever I go out and like I see something I like and I have the money, I will buy it. Like that's how I shop. Granted, I'd love to like just go binge shopping in like 1 month and not have to go shopping for the next couple months. But I can't do that because I'm a broke college student. So, if I have a $20 bill, I'm going to use it on a shirt I see. That's like $19.99. Oh, cool. Dope. But, like, that's just me ranting about, like, the work environment. And, honestly, as much of a joke it is that retail sucks, honestly, I love retail. And it's weird because I got so many horror stories when I was in high school because during high school I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, so it wasn't retail, but a lot of my friends worked in retail. And they would just talk about how retail was just awful. And I was just given these horror stories. I was like, all right, I'm never going to work in retail because people keep saying it sucks. And then last summer, I needed a second job because Dunkin' Donuts wasn't paying me enough. So I went to the shopping center that I work at now, and I was just like walking around. Actually, no, I didn't even want a job. I was looking for a second job, but I didn't know where. And I was with my friend, and we went into this PacSun, and I was just like looking around. I don't know what I was looking around for. I was just looking around just for the fuck of it. And one of the workers, it turns out I went to high school. Me and my friend went to high school with her, and we were like all just talking. And my friend was like, "Oh, you work here?" And the lady goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, you should hire him." And he points at me. And I'm like, "Wait, what? No, I don't. Why would you do that?" But then the worker, she goes like, "Oh, do you actually want a job?" I'm like, "Yeah." So then she points me to her manager, and I like fill out the application. And I was expecting like, application here, call me if you're interested. No, I got an interview there on the spot, which was great. But like, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting to go in there in search of a job, Like I was going there just to shop, and I just ended up getting a job. So they interviewed me, and they were like, "All right, cool, we'll call you if you like you." And I remember when I got the phone call, I was at work at Dunkin', and there was like a line at drive-thru, and I had my phone in my pocket, and I was working on drive-thru, and then I got a phone call, and I looked at my phone, and it was like it was a number that wasn't a contact, but it was said like Rentham, Mass. I'm like, this might be PacSun. So I told my coworker, "I'll be right back," and I just left the line at drive-thru. And usually there's like 2 people working on drive-thru during a line. There's only 1 person. So I go outside, I pick up the phone, and they're like, "Hey, we were wondering if you would want to be trained next week." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And that was all she wrote. So I got a job at PacSun, and I love it right now. And I think one of the main reasons why I love working in my store, in my environment, is because I'm working with a bunch of people my age. And I didn't, towards the end of Dunkin', I wasn't doing that. So when I joined Dunkin', or when I started working at Dunkin', I started working there like fall of 2013. And at the time, my friend got me a job. I'm going to drink this coffee, actually. It's getting warmer. When I started working at Dunkin', I was working with a bunch of high school students. And I was a high school student at the time. So it was like working with friends, but they were also my coworkers. But also we could like just joke around and just be ourselves. And without like, judgment. Without fear of judgment. And it was like that for the first 2 years. And then so fast forward 2 years, and I had a new manager because my first manager like left all of a sudden. And I was suddenly working with a bunch of moms, which isn't a bad thing, but also it was like a bunch of ghetto Facebook moms. Like, depending on who's on your Facebook friends list, like you might know this, you might not know this. It's just a bunch of moms that just kind of talk shit on Facebook and just like rant about anything and everything. And it was like I was still working with like, 1 or 2 people that were my age, but like most of my coworkers at Dunkin' were just moms. And like I couldn't be myself at work because if I was myself, I said one thing on a line, they would go and rant to the manager. And like it'd be just minor shit. Like there was just one time where this like kid, this like child came in and like with her mom, and she asked for a donut, and we didn't have the donut like made, but I told her like, I can make one for you if you want. And because like I like going the extra mile for like kids, because like they're just kids, like they just want like a strawberry frosted donut. Like if we don't have one, I can go make one. It's easy. I went to go make one, and I guess someone complained to my manager that I was making donuts on the spot, and like my manager didn't care, but like it got to me that like someone was saying I was like making custom donuts. Like no, I'm just trying to help like a 4-year-old kid just have a nice day. Like it was just stuff like that where anything I did out of line, or like just anything that I did slightly just irritating, people just complained about me, and I didn't like that. So I left Dunkin' like the beginning of this year, once I went back to school for the semester, and I don't miss it at all. Like, I do miss the tips, because honestly, like, a lot of like people are just very generous in like my area, so like they tip like crazy. But no, retail is just so much nicer. Also, like, when I go home from work, I don't smell like stale donuts and coffee. Like, thinking back, like, I didn't mind the smell because like it was gonna happen. Like, I knew I was gonna smell like donuts and coffee whenever I got home from work. That's fine. But now that I come home and I don't smell like that, like, I'm glad I don't do that anymore. I'm glad I don't like work in food. And not to say like if you work in food, it's bad. Like, honestly, if you have a job, go you. You're grinding. Get that money. Get that paper. Get that moolah. Get that cheese. Whatever your term is for money. But food isn't for everyone. And I think I liked Dunkin' so much at the time, or like the first 2 years working at Dunkin'. I liked it so much because it was so much different from like McDonald's and Burger King and all that fast food restaurants. Because the main thing was coffee. And like, you can make that in seconds. Whereas with like McDonald's and everything, like, yeah, you could just pre-make it, but that's gross. But it took a while. You had to like, it took so long. Whereas like with Dunkin', it's very fast-paced, like, it's fast-paced fast food is like the thing I'm getting at. And I liked that a lot. I could never work at like a burger joint because it's just a lot. I think it's a lot, and like I could never do it. That's why I always appreciate like people who do work in like food. I like respect food workers so much. I always tip, and like as a millennial, I always tip, and I never ever complain, ever, when I'm like in a restaurant or like in a coffee shop or whatever. If they mess up my order, half the time I just drink it. Like, and that's the God honest truth. I don't like inconveniencing people or like correcting people. I don't like doing that unless they're my best friends, and I'll do that to no end. But like, if I'm in a coffee shop and I don't like, they make my order wrong, if I'm in a certain mood and like I really want this made correctly, I will go like ask them like, hey, sorry, can you remake this? But more often than not, I don't say shit. Like, I don't like cream in my coffee. I mentioned this in the last podcast when I rant about coffee. Like, I don't like cream in my coffee. So whenever like I get a coffee, sometimes they have cream because like it's fine. I don't care. Like, they just make a mistake. That's totally fine. If they put cream in my coffee and I don't care enough, I'm just going to drink it because it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst thing to just drink cream in my coffee even if I don't like cream. It's fine. I just prefer milk. Whereas I see people, and like this happened to me, where they will just like get so angry at like a wrong order. And like, I've never ever understood that. I've never understood like the expectation of perfection. That's a great album name for a band. If you're a band and you take the name Expectation of Perfection, you better give me some money. No, like, customers always have an expectation of perfection with food, or like any time they like go into like an establishment, like they always expect perfection. And I guess I can understand that from a different perspective, because you get hired because you know what you're doing, so you should know how to give someone an order. But also, we're humans, and we all have faults, and we're not perfect. Like, if someone puts cream in my coffee instead of milk, like, they just made a mistake. And that's fine. Like, if I'm in a certain mood, yeah, I'll ask them like, hey, sorry, you made this wrong. Can you remake it? And like that's it, or like I'll just let it happen. And I know like that just sounds like me being a pushover for just like letting anything happen to me, and maybe that's right, but at the same time I feel as though you shouldn't just get angry over like the slightest things. And I love this meme of just like millennials being too kind versus like baby boomers being too mean. Like, I feel like millennials are just being too kind to compensate for the baby boomers that are just so nasty to workers. Like, it's just so, it's so weird. It's such a juxtaposition of just like generations. And like, everyone, like, I have a lot of friends who like work in food, and like they get awful tips. And they're all like, yes, they were like 40, they're like in their 30s, and like that, it's weird how so uniform it is, and how everyone experiences the same things from millennials and baby boomers. Like, all millennials are just very kind to just workers, whereas all baby boomers are just so mean. Like, and if, honestly, if you're 30 plus listening to this podcast, thank you. And if you are a baby boomer, like, I don't know, go against the grain of baby boomers. Like, tip really well. Don't complain about your wrong order. Just, I don't know. It's so weird how all millennials are like very overtly kind, and how all baby boomers are just very mean. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it's because like I keep reading that, like, oh, all millennials are like super nice. I'm like, oh, I'm a millennial, I should be super nice, even though I'm like Gen Z or whatever. But like, I don't care. Like, Gen Z sounds lame. I'm a millennial. That's that. There isn't really much to talk about. Hey, we're going on 47 minutes, which is great. So I think with that, I'm going to end the podcast. This is a good episode. I think I'm getting the hang of talking better and like flowing between transitions. So thank you so much. If you are listening, I didn't say watching. If you're listening, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe. I started the YouTube channel for this podcast, so I have a SoundCloud and a YouTube for this podcast. You can listen to either, you can listen to both. Either way, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. Like the track, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to my SoundCloud account. Do whatever you feel like doing. With that, I'm out. Yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.